Hello, Sarah Sabin, transformational leadership and business coach here in the Leading in Modern Way video interview series. And I'm thrilled to have with me here today Asha Moses, who is the founder and CEO of Sherbert London. Asha, welcome to the show. And would you like to briefly introduce yourself to my listeners?
Hi, Sarah. Thank you for bringing me down to your podcast. I'm looking forward to share some insights. As you say, my name is Asha Moses, chairman and founder of CEO and founder of Sherbert, the electric taxi company. Today, on our agenda, we're the largest, cleanest, greenest licensed taxi service on the globe. And we're here future-proofing licensed London taxis using technology and data for smart taxis and smart cities.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'd like to spend a little bit of time going into your origin story. So you've been going with Sherbert for over 10 years now. And I saw you have your black cab license as well. So what made you want to start Sherbert all those years ago?
Well, it goes back to being born in Hackney. That's where Hackney Carriage is. And in my day, growing up as a young Jewish lad in Hackney, it seems that the Jewish trade was all licensed London taxi drivers, and they were all fleet owners. And I remember growing up as kids that these fleet owners were such great philanthropists, and they always seemed to have money, and the cab drivers went on holiday twice a year. So that encouraged me to do the Knowledge of London back in many moons ago in 1989. I got my green badge to become a licensed London cab driver. And I've always been innovating and coming up with ideas to build different businesses. And I have done that quite a few within the taxi trade for many, many years.
And why the focus specifically on electric taxi vehicles?
Well, everything I do is taxis because that's my business that I know. But if we go back to 10 years ago, if you look at Addison Lee sold out their business for £300 million. I said, if I can do it, if he can do it, I can do it. And looking at the agenda at the time, it's about connecting to the agenda. It was Boris's strategy to go green. And I focused on those words, which was go green, we're going electric. And I decided to invest in Euro 6 vehicles, which was the nearest to electric at the time, and started to have a green agenda, put green at the forefront and sustainability at the forefront of my business. We built a massive fleet of 700 vehicles pre-COVID, all diesel Euro 6s. And we literally, at the point of COVID, March, I bought my first 50 electric taxis in line with the mayor's strategy.
Okay. And, 10 years ago, electric vehicles weren't as ubiquitous as they are today. So when you think back to the origins, what were some of those significant challenges that you faced at the beginning, and how did you overcome those?
The challenges were absolutely huge. I mean, licensed London taxis were not asked to go electric. We were told by the Mayor of London, you're going electric and your vehicles are coming off the road. Everybody, including myself, were very scared to invest nearly £70,000 plus interest onto one of these vehicles. But somebody needed to take the leap, and I decided to do it just before COVID and lockdown, and I bought 50 cabs. Obviously, I'm not looking back now. It's the best things that I've ever done. But the challenges were absolutely huge. I mean, a traditional taxi driver drives a diesel taxi. He doesn't want to go into an electric. He's scared, even at the size of the vehicle. It's a brand new vehicle. How do you drive a taxi, an electric taxi? What is battery management all about? Am I going to stop and I'm not filling up within 3 minutes? I've got to stop for 40 minutes. How do you get the mindset of a London cab driver to change from filling up diesel and going into a healthier lifestyle work balance.
Mm.
And today, and I can share with you how we overcame one of the points was, to be honest with you, I couldn't rent. One of my businesses is we rent licensed taxis to cab drivers who can't afford to buy them because they're very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very hard to move a taxi from a diesel to transition into electric. So we had to be innovative. If a taxi driver broke down in his diesel, we would say, we don't have a spare diesel, try the electric. And when they got into the electric, because it's so quiet and it's clean and it's new, they loved it and they wouldn't get out of it, even though it cost them nearly 30% more.
Mm.
And today, we're running a fleet of very few diesels waiting to decommission, maybe about a handful, but we're running a fleet of 500 electric taxis. All of them are connected to what I call to the Internet of Things. They are all technology driven. We are collecting data, 14 million points of data a day from our taxis. And eventually, you know, if you look at our business model, you can ride in a Sherbert. So we've got companies who've got corporate social responsibility to go green, so they can book a Sherbert. We connect electric taxi drivers to companies with CSR. You can drive a Sherbert, you can rent them, and you can also advertise on a Sherbert. So all the greatest brands in the world want to be seen on our clean, green taxis. So that's the model that we're running in London.
Mm. So I want to just touch on something that you said, which is kind of this change mindset, that even when it makes sense to change, people don't necessarily want to, because change is always difficult. How do you manage that change in mindset for yourself and also for your team?
I mean, being a leader, you have to embrace change every day. There's no two ways about it. You are challenged with so many different things that enter your daily life as a businessman, and the things that actually the solution is change. It's not doing the same thing again and again and again. So for me personally, I like change. I like leading change, and then working out how am I going to move drivers. For example, the change was moving to electrics. I bought the electrics before even thinking about how am I going to move the drivers. I knew that was the agenda. I stayed on it and worked out the problems, like I mentioned, how we moved the driver from diesel to electric by not having spare cabs. Today, it takes over 2 hours to induct a driver from a traditional diesel to get into electric. You've got the wheelchair accessibility. You've got to understand battery management, how to charge a vehicle. If you hit your brakes, you actually you can charge your battery if you softly touch your brakes. But if you hit them hard, you deplete your battery. So it's understanding. It's a lifestyle change as well for the driver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, with any kind of lifestyle change, so we all know things, right? We know that if you eat healthily and exercise and sleep, you are going to have a healthier life. But nonetheless, some people are very resistant to change. So where you get that type of resistance in people within your team, how do you coach or support them through that?
But I think the resistance is fear of the unknown. That's what the resistance is. So again, you know, we've got a program to our drivers who, well, thank God, we've moved 99% of our drivers into electric, and it was an uphill struggle in the beginning. Currently, we don't have a struggle. There isn't enough electric taxis in the marketplace for the drivers that we have. Again, it's about really understanding the market that you're in, understanding the fear. Being a taxi driver myself, even I, as a fleet owner, I might have bought 50 cabs, but I didn't want to drive it. I wasn't sure about it. And until I got into it and understood the quality of the vehicle, of what it's achieving, the emissions that we're reducing in central London, the contribution to the planet, it all seemed to fall together. And today I'm talking about green, clean, safe transport in London that can be replicated around the world.
So is that your bigger mission? Do you want to roll this out to other cities let's start with the UK and then globally? What's your big plan here?
I think there's no greater taxi service in the world like licensed London taxis and their drivers. There isn't one. Any city in the world would give their right arm to have a licensed taxi, regulated taxi service, electric, like Sherbert, not like taxis, because we've really created a brand that differentiates ourselves from taxis by using technology, making the taxi part of the Internet of Things. So, in my view, that I believe that the transition to electric has been probably the best thing that we as a business have done, and we're so far ahead to be, we're leading the way into change, and it's drivers and taxis. The London taxi is a global solution. It's not a London taxi solution. It's a global taxi solution when you connect the technology and the data. And it'll help cities really make smart decisions on where to put a low traffic neighborhood and the impact it has on arterial roads, because we've got data. And what's my role, my plan? First of all, London is my plan. I don't need, as a small family business, London is my plan. But, we are talking to major OEMs, global automotive manufacturers, who want to be able to build their own purpose-built taxi, who want to roll out the Sherbert technology platform globally. Mm-hmm. And today, Sherbert's platform, you could buy 100 or 1,000 taxis, place them anywhere in the world, and your drivers will be able to, and regulators will regulate, drivers will be able to book them, advertisers will be able to see them live, and all of this is being tracked live in central London. We can replicate it anywhere.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, I mean, as you move along in the evolution of your business, it does have the potential to be rolled out quite easily in other places as well.
Yeah, we've already did trials for the council in Sheffield because they were looking to go green. We're in constant demand for consultancy today because we're the first who's actually experienced all the challenges of charging, driver's mentality, how to manage a fleet. It's very, very challenging.
So I'm curious, you mentioned being a family business. What's your succession plan? Are you planning to hand down the business to future generations?
I suppose everybody likes the thought concept of father and son, and sons and daughters. But today, children are different. I suppose I've got a 30-year-old and 25-year-old. Both are in the business and leading the business from the front. But they've done that because they grew up in the business, and they now have, both of them, proud to say, they're very smart and entrepreneurial. Now, I don't know what their plans are. Right now, they're very comfortable working hard, putting in long hours to develop a business. And they can do it for themselves because they've brought it out all the way from the ground. They've been there from the beginning.
What's your plan? Is it something that you haven't really thought about in terms of what you do in the next 10 to 20 years?
Well, I'm coming up to 60 years old. Okay.
You don't look it, Asher.
I'm coming up to 60 years old. Well, I'm working out hard every day. But I've done a lot of hard work in my time, from roots, from grassroots up. I wish I had the knowledge I have now, many moons ago. But my plans now is to develop a future-proof licensed London taxi service that can replicate it. I want a future-proof licensed London taxis, and I want to ensure that the technology that we're delivering, the platforms that we're delivering, can be replicated across the globe. Me, I see myself working hard for another 5 years, and looking to deliver some very big plans over the next 5 years.
So working to leave that legacy.
I think I want to leave a legacy for taxi drivers and to ensure that London taxis remain an integral part of the transport network. It might be smaller than it was, but it's going to be really, really an iconic, as we say, every city in the world will want our taxi service, the Sherbert brand. They will want it rather than we sell it.
So you've obviously been doing what you do for a very long time now. And so I'm curious, how have you invested in yourself as a leader, and what steps do you take to constantly grow and evolve?
Steps do you invest as a leader? I think knowledge, first of all, coming from a taxi driver, it takes time to identify, wow, you're a leader. You kind of don't, wow, where did that come from? And all of a sudden you're a thought leader in the industry. So I think knowledge, I learned a lot on YouTube and LinkedIn. Those are my two Bibles. I've got three, but two are the main ones that I focus on, like LinkedIn and YouTube. There's everything you need to know on how to build a business, how to buy a business, how to negotiate your business. There's everything you need to know on these platforms. No one is going to teach you anything other than making the mistakes. So, people say to me, what's your biggest mistake? I say, I don't make mistakes. Mistakes make me. I'm a walking mistake. And these mistakes cost money, but that's part of the journey. Don't be fear, face those fears. Deal with everything that you have today. Deal with them because they're not going away. We're scared to deal with them because we are unknown. But the bottom line, everything I've learned is from YouTube and LinkedIn. And every night I'll spend a good hour before I sleep putting on the YouTube and learning the next part of my journey. If I'm negotiating a raise on equity, how do you raise equity on YouTube? And you will learn everything that you need to know very, very quickly.
So there's a few points I want to pick up on there. So number one, the fact that you spend an hour a day. So a lot of people will say, well, I don't have time. You have time, and everyone has time to do somewhere between 15 to 60 minutes learning every single day. And secondly, I want to pick up on what was a golden sentence. I don't make mistakes, mistakes make me. So the best way to learn sometimes is the school of hard knocks, as long as obviously you learn from those mistakes and then you don't make them again. And, this kind of micro experimentation in business means that you move along a lot quicker than if you're waiting till things are perfect, until, you feel like you've learned, quote unquote, enough, whatever that looks like.
When things go perfect, you get left behind. You don't need perfection. You need to build perfection, and it takes time to get to perfection. So if you're going to spend the time getting to perfection and then getting to market, I will already be to market and then getting to perfection. It takes time. Everything takes a long time. So, most people, they say, oh, I've got a great idea, but, great ideas are in the graveyard. People don't do anything about them. So, my view is you've got an idea, just implement it and fail, because the next time you do it, you'll stand up so much stronger. And the more you fail, the more you can accept failure, because failure's part of the journey too.
Yes, it also builds up that resilience and thick skin, for sure.
Very thick skin. I've got very thick skin.
Yes, I was doing an interview the other day, and I think he said he has a skin the width of a rhino. I haven't measured how wide that is, but it is pretty wide, I would imagine. So, Asher, final question. If you could go back in time and give one piece of advice to your 20-year-old self, what would that be?
Have no fear in business. Actually face the fear in business, because everybody's scared. And whilst everybody's being scared, you're being brave and taking the first steps of risk. Risk is scary, and everybody's scared of risk. But risk pays reward. And you're either going to work for somebody who's taking the risk for the rest of your life and will get a salary, or you're going to take the risk yourself. And my view is take the risk, fall, and be prepared to stand up and fall again, and stand up and fall again, and never give up. And you will get to any destiny. It's not me. You take that philosophy and be prepared to fall, you will stand up. But if you're not willing to face that fear, you'll always work for somebody with risk, and they'll get the reward.
And if I was to sum that up, the biggest risk in life is taking no risk at all.
It's the ultimate heartbreak, because most of those people who don't take the risk will say, I had such a brilliant idea, if only. If stand stiff on a high cliff, I took the risk, I fell, and stood up again. And eventually, you will hit your targets. Eventually, stay focused on your business. You'll go up and down, but that's part of the journey. And if you can accept it now and know that it's part of the journey, you will be successful, because you take the knocks early. You have to take knocks, whether it's in the beginning, in the middle, or the end of the journey. You will have knocks. If you can't face those knocks and failure, don't go into business, because business is plenty of failure and a very little bit of success. But once you hit the success, you start rolling. So you need to fail to succeed.
And on that philosophical note, Asha, I've really enjoyed this conversation today. Thank you very much for your time. And to my listeners, I hope that you've enjoyed this conversation as well. If you would like to take part in the Leading in the Modern Way video interview series, please do reach out to me. Bye for now.